What's poppin', y'all? Back at it again with another video. So let's get right into it. Y'all new to the channel, y'all tapped in with the Head of the Game podcast. Y'all read the title, let's get straight into it. So what's the main thing people should be preparing in their financial situation as we moving through this year of 2026? What are the biggest power moves you can do in your position to best position yourself for whatever may come out this outcome of this year, right? So first and foremost, we gotta look at all the indicators of seeing what's actually happening right now, seeing what's trending, and then how to hedge against that trend in order to put yourself in the best advantageous position you can possibly. So, number one, obviously, we in a fucked up job market. You feel me? If you look at the economy, looking at how many layoffs is happening, and we're talking about not just regular layoffs, we're talking about high-end, specialized, white-collar jobs being wiped out and outsourced by this AI phenomenon that's going on, right? And the crazy thing about that is what works towards the shareholders is that when you cut down payroll and you implement AI, the stock price is going to shoot up just because that company or that corporation is being more cost efficient by hiring robots over humans that's able to sit up there and do that same task, but even faster and a fraction of the cost, right? This is kind of like the invention of the security cameras, right? So if you got a security guard at the post, right? You got a security guard standing at a post, and you replace that security guard with 2 or 3 security cameras. The security cameras don't need a 15-minute break. Security cameras don't need to call off or call in sick. Security cameras don't even need a shift. It's 24 hours, right? And arguably, it can give you more of a descriptive visual detail than that human being there, standing there at that post, right? That's just an example, but I digress. My point is that understanding that we in a fucked up job market and that all sectors, most sectors of, just the working class is being hit by either AI or automation. You feel me? AI for the white collar jobs, automation for the blue collar jobs. Now, what would you say is the difference between the two, right? Automation is, if you can look it up on YouTube, you feel me? They got the factories and they got the arm robots and, they just building stuff, you feel me, on some robotics type stuff. You feel me? They sitting up there, it's mass production, moving to this next generation, right? So if you look at like McDonald's, right? I wouldn't say that's AI. I would say that's automation by putting a kiosk there, because now the kiosk is a representation of the cashier that used to ring up your order, and pretty much there's no mistakes that could possibly be made because the person that's there is pressing all the buttons themselves, assembling their own order instead of, having that process done through a secondhand process, right? So I'm listening out and laying out all this just to sit up there and say that the best thing you can do right now is, if you have a job, keep the job. But I'm not also in the same breath saying stay in that job. If you need to choose a different career path, you need to pivot and transition. Maybe you feel like, hey, all right, I invested all this time, all this work, all this studying, all this mastering, all this skill level work, and now I've hit a dead end. You may need to pivot into a different career field, right? And that's easy for me to say, you feel me? But it's a very hard decision to do. Nobody wants to sit up there and transition from something that they always wanted to be in their whole life, something they worked so hard to strive towards, and now they get to the finish line at the end of the rainbow and ain't no pot of gold at the end, you feel me? Like, nobody want to sit up there and deal with that, right? So keep the job. If it's a side hustle, do the side hustle. But have a plan, right? Have a plan. And this is pretty much what this video is about. It's about planning out your situation and not allowing the system to get the best of you, right? Because that's what the system is designed for. It's the system of capitalism is hidden right in the word. Capitalism, capitalize, meaning that somebody's being capitalized on, right? In order to make it advantageous for the next person to be able to live vicariously through another person's hard work. Let's just call it for what it is, right? And that can go a lot of ways, but I'm just leave it there. I'm gonna digress, right? Number 2. Hold on, y'all. 1 second. My bad, y'all. I'm trying to get through this cough. It's a little sickness, but number 2, right? You have to make sure that you're on top of your finances more than ever, right? Because there's more ways to spend your money more than ever. So we got these subscriptions and we got these pending reoccurring fees and stuff like that. And it's so much stuff that we do on our phones. It's really hard to keep track on where our money is going, right? So you might just look at your bank account and you just spending money and you may not. So I'll say all that to say is that you got to be more conscientious and aware of your finances and how you spending your money, right? It's each his own on what you may want to decide to cut back on. I just sit up there and say, I'm gonna just sit up there and say that whatever you do, make sure it's complementary towards you being able to save, right? Save every month. Each month you come out of, unless it's some emergency or catastrophic, each month your net worth should be trending in an upward direction. It's either that or your debt should be trending in a downward direction. Either or is fine with me, but just being able to see what's going on as far as like the indicators, right? So like I said before, automation, artificial intelligence, they're in the same pot. Now, you could be one of those people that actually take advantage of AI or automation, right? More so AI, because with automation, you're gonna have to actually invest some money when, there's a lot of free AI tools that you can sit up there and put yourself in a good position, right? So after you have that established, as far as your career path, your income, and then your outcome from your income, which is your financial equation, aka your means, reason why you would need a budget, right? Once you have those established and you're inclined with those, then you'll have a formula of actually knowing how to trend towards where you need to be at, right? Now, the third thing, which is most important once you get the first 2 mastered, is where are you investing your money? Because I think we all know by now, if you ain't aware on why the tariffs was introduced, you feel me? The tariffs might be an indirect indicator of this, but just on a grand scheme point, things do not cost the same way it used to be. Why? Well, if you look at the supply chain, right? And what those don't know what the supply chain is, it's just pretty much logistics, right? So you got the wholesaler, you got the retailer, and then you got the consumer, right? So since gas is way more up, or fuel is way more up, that wholesaler, in order to deliver it to the retailer, has to then surcharge the retailer in order to get whatever products needs to be over to the retailer. And then the retailer then has to surcharge the customer base in order to get those items that they got from the wholesaler over to the stores where the consumers would be at. That's inflation. Welcome to inflation. You feel me? So that's just only one metric of it. Now, I'll tell you this, right? For each Because most companies, most corporations are driven by their stockholders. And the theme of a stockholder is the reason why you want to hold a stock is because each year you want to see anywhere between 2, 5, 10% returns on your investments. Now, why am I bringing all this up? Inflation, corporations, wholesalers, retailers, so on and so forth, right? Invest in your money. And I'm not telling you where to invest your money. I'm just giving you some examples of some investment vehicles that can make your dollar not just stand still, because whether you realize it or not, when your dollar is standing still and inflation is devaluing the dollar, right? And they're printing more money, and it possibly could cut rates, which could make inflation explode even more. You have to make sure that your money is working against inflation. It's working for you, but it's really working against inflation. It's retaining its value or increasing its value instead of decreasing its value, because keeping it in cash is I'll tell you this, right? It's the safest play, right? Keep it cash. I feel like if you don't want to invest, cool, right? Because investing isn't for everyone. Because everybody don't have the stomach to be able to see their money go up and down, up and down, up and down, right? So even if you got a savings, contrary to belief, I still feel like that's a good. You at least got something, right? You're trending in the right direction. You may not be taking an elevator, but you might be taking the stairs. Either way, you're still trying to get up to that floor where you're gonna feel like you're comfortable at, right? So once you've established, really invested, right? Because me personally, I would prefer to invest because that's the way that the world is trending, right? You want to extend your dollar, make sure you do your due diligence, make sure you do your research. Do not listen to no get rich quick scheme gurus and talking about, yeah, I'll take your $100 and you get $100K in 4 weeks. You hear anything like that, run away. Do not press on their content. Do not buy their subscriptions. Don't get into their Discord or any of that. You feel me? Like, it's fool's gold, right? They're gonna sit up there and show you all these metrics and stuff and be like, look what I turned, and this is where I started, and this is where I'm at, and they're gonna sell you a bull of goods, and it's gonna be fool's gold. I will run away from that. Now, if you look into real traditional, like if you want to look at people that have really been in this game for a long time and made a substantial amount of money, look at people like Warren Buffett, or these long-time multi-generational investment gurus that's been in the stock market for generations, and they'll tell you historically that the money is going to just keep going up if you just keep investing in the Fortune 500 or so on and so forth, right? But like I said before, I'm not trying to tell y'all how to invest y'all money, because even with the Fortune 500 or the S&P 500, tomato, there are stock market crashes where you can lose 30 to 40% of your fortune, in a matter of weeks. It happens. You feel me? Stock market crashes, but that's the market. You feel me? The market, the nature of the market is that for every time it goes up, there always has to be a correction when the market becomes overpriced or overhyped. It has to get real back into reality so the actual real price is sustainable, right? So once you have your investments, right? Once you have your investments, you've actually acquired a steady income, and also as well, you understand your financial cycle. This is the last point I'm gonna lead this off with, and I feel like this is the most important, right? Is there's a difference between the challenger and the champion, two different mindsets. In order to get up to the top, to become a champion as a challenger is the totally different mentality. Once you've solidified as yourself as the champion and now you got to defend your belt. Feel me? You got to defend your belt. Now it's less offense and more defense. It's more so of who you're not trying to become instead of who you are trying to become. Even though they're simultaneously happening at the same time, it's just sustaining a level of excellence. And you always want to make room for improvement that you can get better, right? But you're going to realize that at that point, it's easier to fail than it is to succeed, even though you have a winning formula. And how you go about this is stop telling people how much money you make or how much money you got. Stop with vices and, just use, don't abuse if you do indulge in vices. I don't condone vices. I really don't, drinking, smoking, none of that. You feel me? I really don't subscribe to that. I feel like it's another catalyst for you not becoming who you need to be. And yeah, last but not least, man, just make sure that your circle is, people are there. The people that are there, make sure they're supposed to be there, and they're not no fries, no counterfeits. You feel me? People that don't really got your best interests at heart. You feel me? Yeah. So, with that being said, y'all, hopefully y'all love the video. Got more videos on the way. Make sure y'all got thoughts, comments, leave those below. Like the video, and last but not least, subscribe to the channel. We're going up, baby. More videos on the way. All right, I'm up out of here.